From Slave Cabin to Mansion, Madam C.J. Walker in the Postbellum Economy. When we think about the postbellum economy, we often focus on railroads, steel, and big industrialists. But the story of Madam C.J. Walker reminds us that the transformation of America between 1865 and 1900 was also shaped by people who were born into poverty and discrimination, yet built enterprises that challenged racial and gender barriers. Madam C.J. Walker, born Sarah Breedlove in 1867, was the daughter of formerly enslaved parents in Louisiana. Orphaned at 7 and widowed by 20, she worked as a washerwoman, earning barely $1 a day. That background is important to describe because it reflects the reality of many African Americans in the late 19th century. Even after emancipation, most were trapped in low-wage agriculture or domestic work with limited economic mobility. What makes Walker remarkable is how she turned personal struggle into opportunity. She suffered from severe hair loss, which was common among Black women at the time due to poor living conditions, lack of medical care, and harsh hair treatments. Out of that need, she developed her own line of hair care products. By the early 1900s, she had transformed this small idea into a thriving business. Her story illustrates how entrepreneurship could emerge directly from the lived realities of African Americans in the postbellum period. One of the most striking ways we can illustrate her impact is through her advertisements. In newspapers like The Crisis and the New York Age, Walker's ads promised not only healthy hair, but also self-respect and upward mobility. Some of them featured the slogan, "From Slave Cabin to Mansion," with images of her grand home, Villa Lawaro. This wasn't just marketing, it was visual testimony of her success. By putting her face and her story on the product labels, she was sending the message: African Americans, and especially Black women, could build dignity, beauty, and independence in a society that constantly denied them those things. But beyond describing and illustrating her rise, it's important to analyze what her story means in the bigger picture of the postbellum economy. Scholars remind us that African Americans face systemic barriers such as segregation, discrimination, and limited access to capital. Yet Walker's business model, training a network of agents, mostly women, to sell her products door to door, created economic opportunities for thousands of Black women. This was essentially an early form of franchising. It gave women a chance to earn wages, gain financial independence, and in some cases, start small businesses of their own. In that sense, Walker's enterprise reflects broader demographic shifts of the late 19th century. African Americans were leaving rural farms for growing cities. Black newspapers and mutual aid societies were creating networks of communication and support. Consumer culture was expanding, and Walker's business tapped directly into that. Her products were not just about hair, they were about empowerment, respectability, and the pursuit of the American dream in a racially segregated society. We can also see this in her philanthropy. In a 1916 letter to her lawyer, F.B. Ransom, she wrote about her plans for a benevolent association and about investing in Black institutions. She gave money to schools, churches, and anti-lynching campaigns. This shows that her business success was never just about personal wealth. It was about lifting up her community at a time when Reconstruction gains were being rolled back and Jim Crow was tightening its grip. So when we put it all together, Madam C.J. Walker's life allows us to describe the harsh economic reality many freed people face, to illustrate through ads and products how she built her brand, and to analyze how her entrepreneurship connected to larger themes in postbellum America: urbanization, consumer culture, racial uplift, and gender empowerment. Her journey from washerwoman to millionaire challenges the idea that the Gilded Age was only about white male industrialists. It reminds us that African Americans, and especially Black women, were also shaping the nation's economy in ways that reflected resilience, creativity, and determination in the face of systemic barriers. Madam C.J. Walker's story is not just one of individual triumph. It's a window into the broader struggles and aspirations of African Americans in the postbellum era. So these sources, our scholarly readings for the week, really helped us to see the bigger picture of what Madam C.J. Walker was up against and how she stood out. Benzel's work on the national market shows the kind of economy she was working in. Friedman's piece reminds us that credit and money were limited, which makes her success even more inspiring. The tragedy of the Commons article shows the importance of community, and Walker really leaned into that by creating jobs and networks for Black women. And finally, Danburn's work on how families built communities connects to how Walker built her own business community. Altogether, these sources highlight how powerful it was that she rose above challenges and made lasting change.